Welcome to This Week in Real Estate with Jonathan Harmon and Bryan Nale, your local experts on all things real estate in Middle Tennessee. Listen in as they discuss the current state of the market, the latest trends, and have a little fun while doing it. We do want to say the opinions voiced on this podcast are for general information only and not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individuals. All right, y'all, we are back with another week of This Week in Real Estate with Jonathan Harmon and Bryan Nale. This show is as important as a pre-approval letter. So,
that's good. You do a foreshadowing of the pro tip right there.
Yep. So, full confession, I have nothing prepared for this show, but I have lots of commentary.
I'm going to carry it.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Carry it in a basket like a basket case. So Bryan and I, you know what? I'm not going to say that. We're just going to do it.
To the way we put this all together. And just kind of, oh, wow. Trent's a basket case over here.
He is absolutely a basket case.
Man, he's hitting his head.
He's an American idiot.
Yeah, he is.
You know, I don't want to be an American idiot.
Nope, not me.
oh, man.
He's going to end up on that boulevard of broken dreams.
There's so many people along that highway.
I know. Okay, well, this coffee is delicious.
Anybody picking up on what we're throwing down?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yep. There's a bunch of dookie. Okay. Let's do this. All right. So, hi.
Headlines.
Yeah. Well, hold on a second.
Oh, we got to welcome to the show.
Yeah, let's welcome to the show. You doing all right?
I'm doing good, man.
Yeah. It's interesting these days. This has been a roller coaster.
Yeah.
This year has. So I've got 2 new listings coming up. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And of course, we're going on vacation next week.
Of course.
I mean, like, that's how it works.
Yeah.
I keep telling Lacey, babe, we just need to schedule a vacation like every other month.
Yeah.
Every other month, and we'll be just fine.
Yeah, you'll be all right. That's a good point. It's a pro tip.
It's a pro tip. I've got 3 listings that have done nothing.
Yeah.
Showings are starting to pick up like yesterday on all 3.
Yeah.
So
that's par for the course, man.
why not?
Why not?
Why not? So anyway, all right. Let's talk about some real headlines.
Headline.
Really loud?
Yep.
You're that guy.
Golly.
Bless his heart.
We're ready.
All right, so headlines. I'll go first, and you see if you have any commentary or anything pops in your head.
Sure.
So as September ended, the Federal Reserve kind of woke up, and they lowered rates, and I think we talked about this a little bit. Well, I don't know that we did really talk about last week a whole lot, but really since then the market has been in correction mode. So the headline for this week is what's happened in the Middle East. For the first day, really since the Federal Reserve met, we saw an improvement in interest rates, and that's because of the flight to safety concerns that you see when there's conflict and there's turmoil, and it's usually going to be bad for the stock market, but it's also that means we're going to see lower stock prices, but also lower interest rates because the investors
Freeing up some money.
just freeing up money. Well, they're leaving oil, they're leaving equities. They're looking to put money into safer investments, and so they look to bonds. And so the people who issue bonds don't have to offer as high of a yield.
More demand, lower price.
To attract their investment dollars. So the headline for me is that with the conflict in the Middle East and possibly the Longshoreman strike as well, which is going to be another thing that we'll talk about a little bit later in the show, those 2 things could start to see kick us kind of back out of that correction mode, because from the month leading up to the Federal Reserve meeting on September 28th, you saw nothing but not September 20th, but anyway, at the end of September, you saw nothing but interest rates going down, and then they almost went down so low that there was a correction after the Fed met, and really at this point now, I think we've seen the end of the correction. So things have kind of settled back down, and so the market is going to be focused on headlines, things like unemployment numbers, and the jobs report that came out today it beat expectations. So we're seeing mortgage rates kind of go back up a little bit, but it's reaction to the news, not the mortgage rates going up today are a result of the headline that came out and the jobs report that came out. They're not a result of just arbitrary correction. We can look at the reports now, we can look at the forecast and see what to expect and kind of better understand where rates might be going, and also what the Federal Reserve might do the next time they meet. And if the Federal Reserve is seeing strong employment gains, lower unemployment, and a consumer price index going up, if Longshoreman strike's if it creates a shortage of goods, so prices stay high, then I don't expect as many rate cuts as we thought we might get, and that might mean rates kind of table off where they are here for a little while, maybe go up a little bit from the lows that they saw two weeks ago.
It's so interesting. The more we talk about this over a period of time, the more it just really reinforces to me that the economics is really just psychology with dollar signs.
Yeah.
And it's all about, as factual as we want it to be, it's all about feelings, and it's all about anticipation and eagerness and anxiety and fear and all of those things.
Right.
We just mitigate that with dollar signs rather than medication.
So here's a big question, and Missy asked this just a while ago. Right now in Murfreesboro, from what I hear, I haven't been in any stores, so this is all hearsay.
Sure.
And somebody watching this might be like, "Dude, Bryan, you're wrong." Mm-hmm. But from what I'm hearing, it's hard to find toilet paper and bottled water in Murfreesboro right now.
Really?
So is that a result of panic buying over the Longshoreman strike? Or is it because we bought so much stuff to send over to East Tennessee and North Carolina that there's a shortage of goods here? Or is it a combination of both?
Or a third thing, is it that supply lines have already been interrupted?
I don't think that's what it is, because everything that I've read says that we learned our lesson. Or not we, but wholesalers and distributors learned their lessons during COVID, and they're, instead of doing just-in-time inventory like we did prior to the COVID inventory shortages we had, there's a lot more. Let's stockpile some goods so that if there is some kind of shortage, we have materials.
And that's all fine and good, but at the same time, so all right, so I'm gonna play this guy, okay?
Yeah.
At the same time, if you can make an extra 50 cents on a pack of toilet paper by throttling back the supply, why wouldn't you?
Well,
I mean, there's price gouging, right? We're not talking about $3 more on a pack,
but a little bit here, a little bit there. Yeah,
and then you can oil companies have been doing it for years, man.
Oh,
I mean, think about that. Oh, this refinery in Timbuktu got damaged a little bit, and now all of a sudden everybody's gas prices go up 80 cents.
In the pumps, the gas that's already in the gas stations is going to be marked up 20 cents a gallon.
Now, it's harder to do that on staple goods, right? It's harder to do that on packs of toilet paper and things like that.
Yeah,
but it's not unheard of.
Well, the big thing that I'm watching here is to see if things like that happen. If costs of goods go up, that means inflation is going to be higher, and that means that we're done seeing rate cuts for a little while.
Yeah, and the other thing, back to the psychology of economics, it also, because of that, it leaves so much room for so many conspiracy theories about us being manipulated.
Manipulation.
Right.
Absolutely.
So just take, for example, prices are going to, inflation starts to table off, interest rates start to level off, the Fed's pulling off the soft landing. Now, granted, a soft landing has some bounces, right? But they're pulling it off. They're doing it.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, who is it that doesn't want them to do that? Right. And so we've already seen so many accusations of unemployment numbers being manipulated.
Right.
So there's unemployment, then there's the people that choose not to be employed, and then there's underemployed, and there's like all these different things.
Right.
So when an unemployment report comes out, right, is it factual? Is it manipulated? Is it, the answer to both of those is yes.
What is it? What is this report actually tracking?
What is it actually showing us?
Underemployed? Is it tracking people who aren't working and gave up?
Choose not to? Yeah. Or that have gotten fed up and they've just pulled out and, So all of that to say, it's impossible for us to really predict what's going to happen.
Yeah.
We think we know what's going to happen, and we think that this should go this way or whatever.
Well, and like we think that we know where things are going, but like there's smarter people who spend a lot of time, analyzing the stuff and playing the market, and they may have seen things coming over in the Middle East, but like, man, like if you had told me at the end of last week that we would see, now I know that there's intelligence that this was telegraphed, that everybody knew Iran was going to do what they did yesterday. But if you had told me at the end of last week, I'd have been like, oh man, that sounds terrible. And it does sound terrible. It still sounds terrible. It's terrible that it happened. But there's so much things our economy now is so global. And it's so intertwined that things happen on the other side of the world that do affect what Tim Smith is going to pay for his mortgage rate.
But is it?
Yes.
I mean, think about that for a second. If Iran does what they do,
it is absolutely,
and it's not a surprise that Iran does what they do, right? But the reality is, we could be oil independent from them.
Right.
They don't buy a bunch of stuff. We have all kinds of embargoes with them, right? It affects some of the countries around, you know.
Here's why the answer is yes, because people in America invest overseas.
In Iran? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do know what you're saying. But no, we don't invest in Iran, but we invest in overseas markets, and we invest in oil futures. We invest in things that are impacted by that.
But how many people are invested in oil futures right now? I mean, there's some. But the vast majority, your Tim Smith guy with his mortgage, he's not invested in an oil future.
If he's got a 401k, he is in some way related to that entire global economy.
My point being that any attention-grabbing headline is a reason to manipulate things.
Oh, I'm not saying,
and it's all built on fear.
Manipulation doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's all built on fear.
But I am saying that we do have a global economy, and that things that happen in other parts of the world impact us in our daily lives here.
We do have a global economy, but more than that, we have a global news cycle.
Yes. Yeah, that's a fact.
And so with a global news cycle,
and it's 24/7
all the time.
It is a 24/7 global news cycle.
And the second something happens, we all know about it.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: atrocities and all kinds of things have gone on since humanity has existed.
It's funny you say, because we have a global news cycle, but how many headlines do we see out of any number of conflicts in Africa? It doesn't catch near the attention.
Interesting, right?
It doesn't catch near the
and
headlines.
Why is that? Because we don't trade with them.
Right.
Not really.
It doesn't impact us as much.
We just go steal it.
Yeah, Trent just filled in with "we just go steal it." You're not wrong, unfortunately, but it's like and I think that's my point, right? Is can we sensationalize this thing that ultimately, Iran does not affect us that much, not as much as something devastating in, say, England or Japan or North Carolina, right? I'm going on the global side of things, or Japan, or even China. Right? As much trade as happens there. Iran does not affect us that much.
Right.
But that's going to be an attention-grabbing headline right now, right? It's happening as we speak.
Well, here's another way that it affects us, because there's concerns, and I don't want to dive too deep into this because that's not the purpose of this show.
Sure.
But there's concerns that, well, if Israel is an ally of the United States and Iran is an ally of Russia, there's significant and very real concerns.
I get it.
Of all of this escalating to a point that it's just beyond our fathom. Like, it'd be like
World War III.
It's
Sure.
something that
But dude, those concerns aren't new either. Hello, Cold War.
Well, yeah, but
you know what I'm saying?
There hasn't been. I think we're closer to any kind of. I mean, North Korea never scared me, and yeah, I was a kid in the 80s, and so there was the Cold War still going on. But by the time I was 10 and really kind of aware of the things, that was wrapping up. So, and for the better part of my lifetime, I haven't really worried about being drug into a World War type thing. Now, there's been military conflict throughout my 20s, 30s, and into my 40s, but I haven't really been worried about something of this scale most of my life.
Yeah, no, I get that. I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting. And from an economy standpoint, a good war.
Yeah.
I mean, historically, I mean, that's terrible. Don't quote me on that. But
it's true. I mean, you can. How did we get out of the Great Depression? That was, the CCC and the first 100 days, all that stuff. And let's throw a war in there too. That'll really get us out of it. And then we'll become the biggest economy in the world.
Yep. Facts. All right. Well, that was a deep dive, dude.
Deep dive in headlines.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to Yes, This Is Real.
Yes, this is real.
Doozy.
I like doozies.
Oh, dear. Gosh dang it. One job. One freaking job.
Push the right button.
I know.
I made coffee and it's weak.
That's on you.
I know, it's my fault.
Look at this little guy. That's
Oh, heck yeah.
bro. I kind of dig it.
Are those all skeletons?
Yes.
Oh, that is so cool.
That's a dog T-Rex.
We got. That's
It's a
probably like-
dog skull on a T-Rex. It's like a Dogman. Have you seen the movie making a Dogman movie?
Oh. What is that, bro?
I like the wedding veil on
that
the
a-
T-Rex.
A Shetland pony over there in front of the TV.
I think it's like
Fireplace.
a great dude.
Great Dane.
I've often wondered, can you have your pets taxidermized?
Yeah.
Can you really?
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, you can. So there's a
Okay.
little Triceratops down there by T-Rex's foot. That's not a skeleton, it looks like.
Some kind of unintelligible skeleton behind the T-Rex. Do you see that?
Yeah, I do. It could be an alien,
I'm thinking it's a giant bird.
maybe.
All right, this is real.
They got their Mac over there. Or is that, I think that might actually be an HP.
I think it is an HP.
This is quite old.
What's the one on the wall? It looks like is it a unicorn
A little bitty red.
with like a red bow around its horn?
It's a boa corn.
A boa corn.
So so all this stuff can be fixed, right? But what can't be fixed is that horrendous mauve carpet. Oh,
Hey, not only do we need to declutter,
bless
we
your
need
heart.
we need an area rug the size of this room.
And their furniture is camo
Yeah,
with the carpet.
yeah, it blends right in.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
They didn't bother to put away the box of tissues.
Yeah.
I think that's the least of their worries, buddy.
That's,
I think they leave the tissues out so you can cry when you get in there. All right, let's roll. Next.
market movers.
Oh, all right. So this one's out there.
All right.
All right. So hear me out on this. So I'm stuck on conspiracy theories today.
Yeah, you are on it.
So I read a conspiracy theory from, of course, an acquaintance on Facebook. I'm not even going to call this person a friend. We're Facebook friends. but
Facebook friends.
That's only by
Yeah.
title, right?
Yeah.
And this acquaintance has watched some video that he did not post the video, so I didn't get to watch it. But basically, in this video, there is a conspiracy theory out there that Hurricane Helene was cloud seeded. So, and so therefore man-made,
Yeah.
right? And so, you know, I fully acknowledge that there are things that happen around me and even to me that I don't know about. Right?
Yeah.
Like there are things that the governments of the world and other various factions do say, broadcast, manipulate, whatever that I'm ignorant to, right? But man, imagine if all of a sudden everything just kind of came to light of what that was.
You went a different direction than I thought you were going to go with this, but yeah.
And I live a pretty happy life, right? But what would happen from a market mover standpoint
Yeah.
if we found out, yeah, alien technology is real. Yeah, cloud seeding is real. Yeah, you know, like
COVID was intentionally released on the population. of the
all
world.
like pick your favorite
Yeah.
conspiracy theory and imagine
Somebody's going to be watching this and clip the things that we just said and take them completely out of context and throw them out there. And thankfully, we're probably not a big enough show on anybody's
for it to
radar
matter.
for that
And
to
people are gonna be
happen,
like, the
but
heck's
yeah.
wrong with that guy? But I mean, imagine that. Imagine if that were to happen.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, that would be. What do you think the consequence would be?
I don't know. Like, there's a part of me that wants to believe that people would just be like, wow. And I knew this all along kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Like intuitively, I
Yeah.
knew that was
Yeah.
true, but you just confirmed it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't know if it would be chaos in the streets. I don't know if it would be, you know, an
Riots.
overthrow of government. I don't know if
Yeah.
it would be like a confirmation and now let's figure out how to use this positively. I don't know if it would, I mean, I don't know. Right.
I got a feeling it would result in riots on the streets and civil wars and trying to topple governments everywhere. I think that's how that would go.
To seize control of the technology of the power.
Yeah.
To be because they're angry that their cousin or whatever got killed.
All of the above.
Yeah. I don't know.
All of the above. They'd have people who would rise to power that would be trying to harness that power for themselves, and they would lean on support from everybody who lost a cousin in the storm, or and kind of spin it that way.
Somebody should make a movie and title it "It's All True."
Oh wow!
Oh, that'd be
good. And 2 movies that had come out in the last couple of years that I thought were great was "Don't Look Up" and then Civil War. Those are 2 really just. Yeah, watch those and just kind of with bated breath and hopes that that's not where we're heading.
Yeah. All right, Ricky, I'm talking to you, buddy. I don't know what your special effects budget is, but I need you to make a movie called "It's All True."
Who's Ricky?
Ricky Gray? Well, not Ricky Gray. Kendall Grace.
Kendall.
What's theirs? Yeah.
That'd be cool.
I know who you're talking about. All right, so real market mover.
Yeah.
We actually do have a market mover.
There's really not a lot in the economic news cycle coming in the next week. So what's tomorrow we get jobless claims. The forecast is 220,000 jobless claims. The previous report was 218,000. And then after that, we don't really have any big market mover, economic news being released for the next week. So tomorrow we'll see some news that will drive interest rates probably for the next week, barring any escalation of conflict in the Middle East. I think that and the Longshoreman strike have the potential to be market movers in and of themselves. But as far as just economic data that's coming out, jobless claims tomorrow is a big one. If we come in lower than 220,000 jobless claims, I'm expecting rates are going to continue to go up. If we come in higher than 220,000 jobless claims, hopefully we see a little bit of improvement in mortgage rates.
The Longshoreman strike scares me more than anything else, because the opportunity there to completely disrupt.
Yeah.
We're doing a remodel on a house right now.
Yeah.
So I think about stuff that's imported. I think about stuff that gets stuck in port.
Right.
And we've experienced that before.
Yeah.
We had, remember the thing where the port was blocked or whatever. What was that about? You remember that? There was like 80 ships or whatever outside of San Francisco.
Yeah, it was. We were out there,
or San Diego or whatever it was.
I remember driving along a highway and being able to see the port in Oakland and just how many containers were just stacked up. And there were a few ships out in the bay and stuff, but mostly there were just the ships had been able to unload, but these containers were just stacked as high as you could see. And so yeah.
And how long that goes, man, that could impact us big time.
And this is a question I don't know, but with the Longshoreman strike, the ships even able to come into port? Can the ships even unload their containers, or they're just stuck out in the ocean?
I think they're just stuck out in the ocean.
I think you're right. I think there's nobody working there to bring them into port and unload their ships.
Mm-hmm.
How long has that been going on?
It just started
yesterday.
I know, but to get to this point, it had to be.
Oh, they've been talking about it for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, the strike official, and that's how it goes, right? Is labor says we're going to do this, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
Management says no, you're not. No, you're not. Then they play a game of chicken.
Well, and the things that they're asking for are things like, job security from the technology taking over their jobs, all the way to
wages,
exponential increase in wages.
Yeah, was it 71% or something over
the
6
next
years?
6 years, which is, golly.
With the technology stuff coming, that's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. I mean, we start to look at, and that's another long-term market mover, right? Yeah. Is, the what a few people are talking about, but not enough, I think, is the impact that AI has on our everyday lives.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some scary stuff there. Like, I've seen Terminator. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've seen iRobot and some of these other movies. It's fascinating.
Mm-hmm. This shows
this is gonna be our best show ever.
Highest rated.
Deep dives.
Yeah.
All right, Trent, where are we going next?
Let's get into a shiny penny or two.
Oh God.
This one too.
Yeah.
I love it.
Bated breath. Let's go.
All right, my shiny penny is I don't think we need to overreact to the Longshoreman strike. I think, and it's funny that as this conversation just evolved, I was like, oh my gosh, my shiny penny is literally, unless you love bananas and cherries, for the next couple of weeks, you're going to be fine. Yeah, so then go buy your bananas. Buy as many as you can eat in the next 2 weeks before
the stuff is bananas. Bananas.
We're not doing that band.
Oh, okay,
we're not doing
sorry.
Gwen Stefani. But no. For everything I've read is that, and this goes, we did learn a lesson during COVID when those containers were stocked up and backed up, not just in Oakland, but on the East Coast too. Manufacturers and wholesalers and distributors learned from that. And we had been in a just-in-time economy, just-in-time delivery of so many things. And now they learned we do need to have some stuff in stock. Now, I will say this: the longer this strike plays out, the longer it will take to unravel the consequences.
And this is really where the game of chicken starts.
And this is the thing that people need to be paying attention to. If it goes for 2 or 3 days, it could take 2 weeks to unravel and get all the stuff that's backed up, unpacked, and out into the stores.
Sure.
That's not enough time with the inventories that are stocked in warehouses for us to feel any effect from this.
Maybe a little on some very specific goods.
Very specific, maybe.
Right.
But like
like you said, bananas, avocados.
Your fresh produce is going to be the things that you'll feel the impact from. The next thing to watch out for would be canned goods, and this is one of the things that I was like, as I was reading this, I was like, and this is getting to be that time of year where there's a lot of canned food drives and a lot of like, hey, let's make sure if people have food for the winter and the holidays. And so your canned food drives might be harder to orchestrate and cause, I think a lot of food pantries would tell you that they stock up on foods more than they can handle during certain times of the year. And this might be a year that they really need to be out there saying, hey, easy. Don't just go out there and buy the whole grocery store's worth of canned goods for us, because we have all we need, but then there's not going to be canned goods on the shelves for families that would go in there and buy food for their family for that week.
Exactly, and since you brought that up, I'm going to do a quick plug for Second Harvest.
Yeah.
Okay, so Second Harvest can take $1 and turn it into 3 or 4 meals.
Yes,
not 4 cans of food,
right.
4 meals.
They need yes.
So I would implore you, if you're thinking about organizing a food drive, please do. Please, follow your heart and help out. But more so than canned food, make it a fundraiser and donate a check to Second Harvest. It goes way, way, way further. And to your point, when we did canned food drives a long time ago when I was in school, you'd go to Aldi and you'd buy out all the cans of food. Yeah. Well, guess what? That's where the people that want to support themselves would also go. And now there's nothing there.
There's nothing there for them.
So you kind of almost like, what's the whole cut off your nose to spite your face thing or whatever?
Absolutely.
So I'm asking you and I'm telling you, your money is better served rather than buying a 79-cent can of yams.
Because guess what? They have relationships with PFG and GFS and all these
and above, right? Like Del Monte or whoever.
And restaurants themselves, all the way at the granular level. So they can get food in a lot of different ways. They don't need your 2 cases of green beans and sweet peas. As much as they can.
They appreciate it.
It'll
get
used.
The
money that you would have spent on that flat of green beans and that flat of sweet peas, they can take that money and they can do a lot more than what you were able to do.
That's right.
And that's just
it's an economy of scale.
It is, exactly. Thank you. Now, back to what I wanted to say.
Sorry,
if this thing, I'm glad you did. That was great. But if this thing, so 2 or 3 days, we're looking at maybe 2 weeks to unravel everything. If it goes for
a month,
they said in the thing I read, if it goes for 2 weeks, it could be on January before everything's unraveled. So it could, like right now, I don't think there's any cause for concern. I don't think there's any cause for you to go out there and stock up on essentials. A lot of stuff's made in America anyway. So be aware of what it is that's going to be impacted. It's going to be the stuff that we're importing. So European vehicles, car parts, things like that. Now, Nissan,
your entire Temu account.
Yeah. Yeah. So the things that are imported will be the things that are going to be issues. So are paper products imported? I don't know, but I don't think that they are. I think that those are mostly made here in the United States. So there's no reason to go stock up on toilet paper.
Pulp mills. Yeah.
So I think if you feel the need to go stock up, take a deep breath before you do, and then just be a good person.
Oh, be a good person.
It's a shiny penny.
There's a shiny penny. Just be a good person.
Be a good person.
Yeah. Okay.
It's kind of a pro tip as well.
and you know what else is not impacted by shipping, real estate.
That's right. That's right. Stock up on some houses, y'all.
Clayton homes built in East Tennessee. Well, we affected by I don't know where they're built in East Tennessee, but
What?
Clayton homes, mobile homes, they have a plant in East Tennessee, right? That's where a lot of the mobile homes are made. I don't know if it was impacted by by Helene or not.
I mean, I don't know. It wasn't a tornado, so it wasn't a magnet for. Sorry, that was bad.
Bad joke. Too soon. Too soon.
I know.
All right, Trent, take us on.
Oh man.
Oh man, I need more coffee.
Sometimes.
Bless my heart. He's so dumb.
Pro tip.
Pro tip. I'm gonna say my pro tip is consume your media with a little bit of skepticism, a little bit of judgment,
Maybe a lot.
a little bit of discernment, and a whole lot of asking yourself the right questions.
Yeah.
Who benefits from this story, right? And one of the things that I learned long time ago in one of my intro to mass comm classes, I was 19. It was a long time ago. I was 17. That's right. I started school at 17. Is that censorship and media bias isn't necessarily in the stories that are delivered, and it's not necessarily in the way. I mean, there is, right, in the way that things are said, and the specific adjectives and the connotation, not the denotation. Yeah. But it's more in the stories that aren't told. It's more in the stories that don't make the cut for the day.
Yeah.
Right. And so when you're watching the news or listening to the news or scrolling through your feed, it is designed to grab your attention and to keep you there. So ask yourself, okay, so what is not being said?
Well, man, that's hard to do because when you're scrolling, it's
harder now than it ever has been.
When I'm doom scrolling on X, formerly known as Twitter, I'm looking at these things. I'm like, well, if this was true, surely it would be on some sort of mainstream. But would it?
That's the question, right?
Is this one of those things that's being not reported on intentionally? And that leads. But am I a conspiracy theorist nut job for wanting to think that this might actually be happening?
No.
Thus, my entire position
Fox,
today, Bryan.
MSNBC, CNN, none of them are reporting it.
And the last thing I would say on that pro tip is to understand that regardless of who wins whatever election that you're tuned into, right? Obviously, we've got a fairly contentious presidential election coming up. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
Boom.
Like, it just doesn't, And also at the end of the day, I'm hesitant to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. They're two sides of the same coin, dude.
Boom.
Yeah.
They really are.
Yeah.
And it's all about a power grab, and it's all about control.
I think that's the key differentiator because I do think it matters who wins the election. I think that the ability in today's political climate to influence public policy from the executive office of our three-tier system branch of government is so powerful. So many executive orders that our parents when they were our age, they didn't see a president signing all these executive orders, and it's like every
unilateral decision.
Every 4 years, policies change, and it's so hard to kind of know how to build your business, how to set yourself up when every 4 years these executive orders.
I get it, but the sweeping changes are gridlocked.
And the sweeping changes, the things that we need for things to actually move forward, are gridlocked. They can't get those things done.
You're barely ever going to have more than
and that's where I think it goes back to what you're saying there, that at the end of the day, it's two sides of the same coin.
It really is.
I'm going to pander to my base with these executive orders, but to really move the country forward, I know I can't do anything.
Well, and
regardless of which office.
And the stuff that would actually impact us positively, everybody knows what those things are.
Right.
I mean, they just do, right?
Yeah.
We spend a little less, maybe we make a little more. It's no different than how we live our lives, or it shouldn't be. Right. And what is it that we spend a little less on? Well, this is two sides of the same coin. Well, we spend a little less on social programs, or we spend a little less on military.
Yeah.
We spend, we raise a little bit more on this type of tax, or we raise a little bit more on this type of tax. But it's the same exact concept.
Yeah.
It's just two sides of that coin.
Well, It's gonna be wild. I got a pro tip that's industry specific, and it's back on my side of the industry, and that's
I haven't
mortgage.
been in this industry at all today. I do apologize.
That's okay. It's been a good conversation, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. But no, I just spent about 30 minutes with Trent prior to filming this, and it took that long to come up with a 20-second blip that it should be coming out on social media in the next week or two.
Bless your heart.
It was already scripted and everything, but man, my eyebrows do a funny thing when I get real serious. Just look at them.
He's told me before. He's like, dude, you look so intimidating when you're focused on someone.
But but I'm just trying to remember the line, right? And I'm just like my eyebrows. But I was reading this. I was reciting this script about pre-qualification and underwriting, and really this was focused on the underwriting side of things. And it's like, hey, congrats, you're under contract. Now comes the scary part.
Just kidding.
Just kidding. Underwriting shouldn't be scary. You should have if your pre-qualification process didn't include you turning in documentation to your loan officer, then underwriting is probably going to be pretty scary because you don't know what they're going to find. But if you went through a true solid pre-qualification process or pre-approval
With
process,
somebody that knew to ask the right questions.
with somebody who asked you to go ahead and send in the bank statements who combed through the bank statements. Because one thing that we're seeing now, boy, this is a pro tip, Affirm. Guess what? You're going to go buy a TV and you're just going to make payments on it. Rather than spending the $1,100 to buy the TV you want in cash, you're going to just set it up on Affirm, and every month they're going to just draft a little bit out of your bank account. It's not going on your credit report, but when that underwriter is going through your bank statement and she sees those payments to Affirm, guess what? Your debt-to-income ratio just changed.
Really? Because it's not on your credit report.
And if you've got a bunch of that, so it's more important now for a loan officer to examine your bank statement. We used to just look to see if you had any large deposits that we need to document, or if there was any child support that maybe didn't get disclosed on the credit report or on the loan application. But we have to really comb through all of these transactions.
So Affirm doesn't.
Correct.
Interesting.
Affirm is not going to show up on somebody's credit report, but they could have $200 a month going out in Affirm payments. That buy now, pay later, buy now, pay later, buy now, pay later.
Furniture and
propping up
the engagement ring and
not to mention it's just an expensive way to borrow money.
Yeah,
it's an expensive way to live life. It gives you that feel good of 14%. Hey, we got a nice TV and we got a nice couch and all this stuff. But man, think twice before you borrow money in that way. And so anyway.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Back to the pro tip, which was the underwriting piece of it. Underwriting shouldn't be scary. If you've gone through a good pre-qualification process with a loan officer that you feel really good about, feel really solid about, underwriting should skate through. Now, there's going to be a conditional approval, and then the underwriter's going to find some things that you have to come back in and document. Just gather those documents. You'll get clear or close in no time.
Sure. It's a good one. That's way better than mine.
But yours was fun.
Yours is too, because it helps you win.
Love winning.
We did it. Done.
Another episode in the books. This week in real estate.
Let's go.
And conspiracy theories.
Hey, I feel like that needs to be a new segment.
Yeah.
It's needed right now.
I don't think they're all theories, dude.
You ain't got to tell me.
I think there's some crazy stuff going on.
Absolutely. Well,
No doubt.
More than we know.
Until next time, this week in real estate.
Cheers.
We are out.
Yeah, there's a lot of smoke, right? There's that.
Thank you for listening to another episode of This Week in Real Estate with Jonathan Harmon and Bryan Nale, your go-to resource for all things real estate in Middle Tennessee. Be sure to like, share, follow, subscribe, and leave us a 5-star review. We will see y'all on the next one.
Now for the nitty-gritty. Primis Mortgage Company is a subsidiary of Primis Bank, a member FDIC. Primis Mortgage NMLS number 1894879, BK number 1042893, ML number 1894879. As always, all loans are subject to credit approval and product guidelines. Equal housing lender.